Have you ever stopped on a busy street, looked at a homeless person huddled in the freezing cold, and noticed a dog resting quietly by their side? You might have asked yourself why a dog driven by a raw survival instinct would choose to suffer through the biting wind and an empty stomach with a penniless owner instead of running after a wealthy stranger holding a warm piece of meat. This is perhaps the biggest misconception humanity holds about our canine companions. We think they stay for the food. We think their loyalty can be bought with a full bowl and a soft bed. But the startling truth I am about to share with you today will completely shatter everything you thought you knew about your own dog, and it might just make you cry the next time you look into their eyes. If you want to uncover the real reason your dog loves you, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel, because what we are about to explore is a journey into the very soul of man's best friend. To understand this seemingly illogical choice, we have to travel back in time, decoding a deep secret hidden within their genetic code. You see, every dog, from a tiny chihuahua to a massive mastiff, is a descendant of the majestic wolf. They are miniature predators at heart, born with the tools to hunt and survive in the harshest environments. Logic dictates that their biological clock and defense mechanisms should force them to seek out the most abundant food source to guarantee their survival. If they are hungry, they should leave. Yet thousands of years ago, they made a conscious evolutionary choice that defied the laws of nature. They chose to lower their weapons. They traded the vast resource-rich wilderness for a place beside our humble fires, regardless of how small or fragile that fire was. The concept of wealth, social status, or a bank account balance simply does not exist in their neurological pathways. To a dog, you are not rich, and you are not poor. You are their entire universe, their pack leader, and their sole reason for breathing. But how deep does this devotion really go when the chips are down and the stomach is empty? Let me tell you about a dark corner of my own memory, a moment that completely changed my perspective on life. I remember walking down a damp, poorly lit alley on a bitterly cold winter night. The wind was howling and the streets were practically empty. There, tucked away under a flickering street lamp, I saw an old man shivering uncontrollably in his torn coat holding a piece of moldy, stale bread. It was clearly the only food he had managed to scavenge all day. Next to him sat a scrawny street dog, its ribs visibly showing through its matted, dirty fur. The man with shaking hands broke off the slightly cleaner half of the bread and offered it to the dog. The dog gently took it, not with the ravenous, aggressive greed of a starving animal, but with a slow, tender, almost apologetic grace. Then, instead of devouring it immediately to satisfy its own agonizing hunger, the dog did something extraordinary. It dropped the piece of bread, stepped closer, and rested its heavy head on the man's knee, letting out a long, soft sigh. It was a moment of pure, unspoken understanding. In that fleeting interaction, I witnessed the most powerful form of healing I had ever seen. You see, when a human being hits rock bottom, when the world strips away their dignity, their home, and their hope, their body is flooded with the stress hormone, cortisol. It is the literal scent of despair and panic. A dog's nose is millions of times more sensitive than ours. They can smell that cortisol radiating from our pores. They know exactly how broken, how terrified, and how vulnerable their human is in that exact moment. A normal wild animal would instinctively flee from this heavy, negative energy, sensing weakness and impending doom. But a dog uses its subtle body language to do the exact opposite. They lean their physical weight against you. They blink slowly, a silent gesture designed to show absolute trust and lower your own defenses. They curl up at your feet, turning their own fragile body into a living, breathing shield to offer you a profound sense of safety in a terrifying world. They absorb your pain, transforming your grief into their burden. This is the invisible bond that ties a dog to a human soul, a connection forged in the fires of shared hardship. You might think you are missing out on the secret to making your dog love you more. You might feel guilty for not being able to buy them the most expensive toys, the largest backyard, or the most premium organic treats. But the reality of the situation is staggering. To your dog, your mere presence is the greatest privilege they could ever ask for. You are their ultimate prize. However, this is only the first chapter of the story. What happens when the hunger transitions from an uncomfortable ache to a physical, life-threatening agony? What happens when the biological drive to survive screams louder than anything else? And most importantly, what happens when a wealthy stranger actually steps into the picture and tries to break that sacred bond with the ultimate temptation of warm, delicious food? The answer to that question lies in a shocking, scientifically proven biochemical reaction that occurs inside their brain when they are pushed to the very edge of starvation. It is a biological miracle that explains why a dog will willingly choose to starve by your side rather than feast with someone else. And this specific heartbreaking detail will make you rush to hug your dog and never let them go. But what really happens when the hunger becomes unbearable? The true boundary of loyalty only reveals itself when the biological clock signals that starvation is imminent. Imagine a harsh, unforgiving scenario playing out on that freezing street corner. A wealthy stranger approaches the homeless man and his fiercely loyal companion. The stranger holds out a perfectly roasted piece of chicken, its rich, savory aroma filling the cold night air. The stranger's intent is clear and seemingly compassionate. They want to coax the dog away, offering a promise of a warm fireplace, a soft bed, and endless meals. The dog's survival instinct, its inner miniature predator inherited from ancient wolves, screams at it to take the food. The mouth waters, the muscles tense, the body desperately craves the life-saving calories just inches away. This is the ultimate test of devotion. A brutal battle between a primal biological urge to survive and an invisible bond of the heart. What does the dog do? It might sniff the air, acknowledging the feast that could save its life. But then, in a moment that defies all logic, it turns its head back to the shivering, impoverished owner. It retreats. It presses its fragile body tighter against the torn, filthy fabric of its human's coat. It chooses the biting cold. It chooses the agonizing hunger. It chooses absolute trust over a full stomach. To understand this heartbreaking and beautiful decision, scientists conducted a fascinating experiment involving functional MRI brain scans of dogs. They exposed the dogs to various stimuli, including the irresistible smell of hot dogs and the familiar scent of their owners. The results were a massive wake-up call for the entire scientific community, completely shattering the myth that dogs only love us for food. The reward center of the dog's brain, known as the caudate nucleus, lit up like a spectacular fireworks display the exact moment they smelled their human. The neurological reaction to their owner's scent was exponentially stronger, more vibrant, and more intense than their reaction to the smell of delicious, high-value food. This means that to a dog, the scent of the person they love is literally more rewarding, more satisfying, and more essential than eating. When that street dog buries its cold nose into the dirty clothes of its homeless owner, a familiar scent gland triggers a massive, overwhelming rush of oxytocin, widely known as the love hormone. This biochemical explosion in their brain acts as a powerful natural painkiller and stress reliever. It temporarily overrides the physical agony of an empty stomach. They are biologically wired to feel that the presence of their pack leader, no matter how broken or poor that leader may be, is the ultimate reward. It is a profound privilege that surpasses any material comfort or physical need. This is unconditional love in its purest, most undeniable, and most raw form. Dogs do not judge our financial failures. They do not care about our bank accounts, our career mistakes, our expensive clothes, or our societal status. They simply need us just as we are. When you see a street dog giving up its tiny portion of scavenged food to its owner, or staying awake all night shivering to guard its sleeping human on a freezing concrete sidewalk, you are witnessing a level of devotion that humanity deeply struggles to comprehend. Perhaps it is not us who are saving them from the streets by giving them a home and a bowl of kibble. Perhaps their unwavering dedication, their pure hearts, and their absolute loyalty are actually saving our increasingly poor, disconnected, and cynical human souls. We desperately need their healing presence in a world that constantly measures our worth by what we own and what we achieve. Your dog is not just a pet waiting for its next meal. It is a guardian of your spirit, a faithful companion who has chosen you over their own survival instinct. So tonight, when you go home, do not just casually feed your dog and walk away. Get down on the floor with them. Look deeply into their eyes. Feel the weight of their head resting securely on your lap. Lower your own defenses, let go of your daily stress, and let yourself truly experience that absolute trust. They have already given you their entire world. If this video touched your heart, brought a tear to your eye, and changed the way you see your furry best friend, please hit that like button right now. Leave a comment below, sharing a special, unforgettable moment you have experienced with your own dog, and do not forget to subscribe to the channel. Share this powerful message with every single dog lover you know, so we can spread the beautiful truth about their incredible selfless souls. But before we say goodbye, I have to ask you a chilling question. Did you know that even as a dog prepares to leave this world and cross the rainbow bridge, they perform a highly specific ancient ritual just to comfort their grieving owner? It is a hidden corner of their psychology, a heartbreaking secret. Behavior that you are completely missing, and it proves their love lasts even beyond their final breath. You will absolutely not want to miss this profound revelation. Subscribe now, and I will see you in the next video.